I'm gone musicless. I have gone musicless today. There's no music in the background because it split opinions last time in terms of do you have it or do you not. So I've gone with not. Or maybe have it again. Turn it down a little bit more. Hello, Paul Bro. Hello, Emma Shaw. Beverly Gow. Tap, tap, tap. Literally out the corner of my eye. Seeing her fiddling with the phone. And that's why she wanted to type up a little comment. There you go. Yeah, tappy, tappy, scrolly, scrolly. Not the only thing that will be making noise in here as well, because Shirley is jingling around and Dolly's in here. Do you know where she is? Can you see her, Bev?
No. Yes.
She's hiding over there. She'll know that come and see me. She's on the chow. I'll go and get her later on then. Hello to everybody. Hello, Kate. Sorry. Hello, Clay Griffiths, Jackie Morris, Anthony O'Brien, Gail Seal, Sarah Gardner, Karen Spackman, Emma Shaw. Hello to everyone. There's Dolly in the background. There is indeed on the wall. Hopefully the signal's okay. Signal okay. It's doing that little thing where it's only got one bar on the top left-hand corner and I'm plugged right into the internet. It's very, very sporadic. Is she camera shy? Dolly or Bev? Hello, you beautiful human. Let's bring that up. Let's have that permanently record. Oh, here we go. The internet's gone fuzzy. Settle down, internet. Settle down. Right. Hello, you beautiful human. Hello to you, you beautiful human. Carl Johnson in return. Let's reciprocate that, shall we? Matt Jaziorski over on the YouTube's good evening. Hello, Matt. How you doing? Right. Hope you are all having a good week so far. Hope you're looking forward to this weekend. What's the weather forecast? I completely forgot to check. Is it just the usual wet and was it 8 degrees or something? Yeah, oh, it's actually 8 degrees right now. It's Saturday, 11 till 8. Due to be sunny. Precipitation. This is down here, by the way, in London. Maybe different. Yeah, precipitation 0%. That's good. I might just have to go on tour then. How is my stream doing? Is it being a bit squonky wonky? I don't want to say loads of stuff if you're only going to hear half of what I'm saying. Why is that so low? Connection is unstable. There we go. And it's going. It's like going back, jumping back 3 years back into the old pandemic lives again. Hello to everybody, by the way. Picture slightly blocky. Yeah, thank you, Em. Michael Blaine. Hello, Michael. Good evening, morning from Brisbane, Queensland. Stay the course, hang with. Just if you're patient a little bit, it does stabilize itself after a while. Picture grainy, but sound perfect. Okay. No, hang on, that doesn't work. That's the wrong button. Let me try this. Stop mic. I want to stop the mic. Right, there we go. That's it. Finally got there. Hooray! I am a voice in circle form. How are you all? Right, that doesn't work. There we go. Bring the camera back. Right. Is it stabilizing? Is it stabilizing? Good evening. Right, let's use my mouse to go through the comments. Right, I do have topics to talk about. Sorry for mucking around for 3 minutes. Good evening, Danny. Try again, Danny. Good evening, Danny, Bev, Dolly, and Shirley, and all you lovely parkrunners. Yellow heart emoji, yellow heart emoji, yellow heart emoji, and then cats with love eyes and cats with love eyes. Mum, have you learned how to do the reaction? Do you know how to push down and hold on to the reactions yet? Don't do it now. I just want you to be honest and say, I don't know or you do know. I forgot to teach you last time I saw you. All right, Stuart Brownwood, it's clear. Yeah, here we go. It's stabilizing now. No jerkiness. Thank you, Stu. Hello, Mummy Norman. People saying hello. Can hear you fine. Pick a bit grainy. Linda and Norman. Hi, Mummy Norman. So Jackie Morris. Picture settling down. There we go. I shouldn't have to do this. Yeah, I'm getting no bars in the top left now. 5 minutes of basically waiting for the internet to settle down. Anyway. Karen Spackman, I can hear everything. The visual's not quite ridiculously attractive, but good enough. Thank you. Rossi R. Hello, Rossi R on YouTube. Good evening, Danny. Love from everyone in the Delston community. Oh, Ross. Hello, Ross. Hello, how you doing? It's nice to see you. Delston Country Park. Who has... Can we do polls in here? We can't do polls. I'd love to be able to do polls. Or can we? No. I'd love to do a poll. Who has been to Delston Country Park and who has not? If you've been, Would you agree it's one of the most beautiful that you've been to? And Ross, as you're watching, fella, I have to commend your social media. Many people ask the question all the time is, how can we get more volunteers? And it's all about the culture. And I think that you guys have nailed it. Like there's many other events which are great. Some events are very aggressive and they're guilt trippy and they get angry and it puts more people off than it draws it in. But you guys, you especially Ross, I know it's you who does the Facebook. You just celebrate your volunteers. You make it such a warm, pleasant place for everybody to want to be. And I have said this repeatedly, and I will keep repeating it. If you want to take a leaf out of Delston's book, look at what Ross does, the culture, the community that they've built up down there. Yeah, just echo it. Anyway, right. Tony Howells. Good evening, everyone. Hello, Tony. Claire Renarchik. Hello, Johan Duvenhaig, who did 250. Did you 250 at the weekend? Congratulations to you. That is a thing. I'm still awake, or just barely. Howdy. Well, my voice will send you off to sleep, make you snooze, make you very snoozy. Carl Johnson, some bad news from Pontypridd Park Run. We are looking at a 4 to 6 week forced cancellation because our beautiful park is hosting the National Eisteddfod of Wales in August. Hope it doesn't have a lasting impact on the park run. We'll have to tour. But at least it's not a permanent thing. At least it's not a permanent cancellation. Yeah. Kingston. What would Kingston have to be? Was it 2030 now with the Thames? It was being delayed, but they were looking at being out for how long? 3 years? Yeah. So it may actually come because Thames Water looking to do a pipe into the River Thames, funnily enough. And yeah, it would have affected Kingston and could have knocked it out for 3 years. Leslie Quinn. Hello, Leslie. I've been to Delston. I was not beautiful. I was not beautiful. It was not beautiful. There was sea fog in June and we couldn't see anything. It was just brutal. It is a brutal course. It's a shame the weather wasn't great. Definitely worth going back. I've even been there twice. I even got a close-up look at some of the rocks below inadvertently. Clay Griffiths, have a look at Frickley Country Park Run and Great Lines Park Run for Fab Social Media too. Yeah, would love to hear any of your other recommendations. If you see social media that is done brilliantly in terms of encouraging volunteers, please let me know in the comments. I'll try and get through them and read them. I would like to endorse that. If you feel that they did it brilliantly, like Claire has, then yeah, I'd like to echo that too. Frickley Country Park and Great Lines. Superb. Tony Howells, Eisteddfod. How'd you do it? Is it Eisteddfod? It's not, is it? I should know, considering I'm meant to have some Welsh genetics in me. Martin Derry, hello, Martin from Four Arches. Great event. Loved every incline. Happened to be visiting the same day. Oh, of course. Yeah. You did say that you were there when I was there, visiting the same day as you were visiting. It was on the first time as well. Coast Guard training off the coast that day with winch rescue. And it's actually one of my more favorite YouTube videos that I've made. I think it's one of the better ones that I've done. It's one of the more popular ones. Yeah, I think it was just the ideal time to go down there and record it. And yeah, I'm proud of what I got in terms of how it reflects and how it all is. Emma Shaw, your park run is established enough to be totally fine after the break, Carl. Don't worry. Yep. I agree. Stuart Brown with 3 years. Yeah, they were going to just potentially tear up the river aside and just completely affect as to where all the parkrun would go. Maybe potentially be pushed a bit further up towpath, but yeah, it would have had a devastating effect in that sense. Hence, I think you may or may not have heard that I say we, Bev, but we've all done it. We've all look at the maps and see where there are other locations potentially. I was looking at maps the other day. I think we've all done this, that we look at maps online and go, oh, there's a big screen space. There's a big green space that you could hold a parkrun. And there's a bunch in the 5-6 mile radius from here. You've got Epsom Common, Ashton Common, Epsom Downs could have one, and then you've got Horton Country Park, and then you've got Churchfields. You might hear some scratching in the background with Shirley's in the house, and what else have we got green space wise? Prince's Covert. Would you say Prince's Covert potentially? There's so many places. I mean, there's ones that are squished in. There's ones that go one lap round. Yeah, there's lots of potential. So Kingston wise, Tulworth Court Farm. There you go. Paul Allcoat, but hopefully we're 2030. Won't have to worry about it now for a while. Not done Delston, nearly 400 miles from home. Not an Endy for a while. Yeah, sorry, Paul. Anybody this end of the country? Sorry, I should have said. I mean, still worth a trip. What's the Winlatter Forest is the one that you guys have as your beautiful one up the north side. Leslie Quinn, I was beautiful. It was not. We went back to the next day and it was stunning. Fabulous volunteer team, so friendly. Amen. Emma Shaw, I picked up Worcester Parkrun as an ambassador event, went to see them on Saturday. Wow, they get about 50 volunteers every single week. Worcester is Richard Ralphs, who was an ambassador and has been around Parkrun world for a long time. Worcester's quite old and he's been there from the beginning. Like you say, yeah, when I went there, it took me a long time to get there and they were just stacked with volunteers. They're nice and early who know what they do. Run Director doesn't have to do very much. Run Director just basically has their regulars and delegates out. The volunteer community was incredible. So many regulars helping out and welcoming to newbies like me too. Elizabeth Shazam. Pontypridd will be closed because of the iced FOD, a major. I'm repeating that. It's already been said, old Liz. Maybe we'll be lucky enough to get more visitors to Penalta Parkrun. Briley Forest Parkrun. Skegness is in Parkrun Abyss since it closed. They can't happen, can they? Because they had a road put through. Or was it car park and road and car park go and went across the course? And here she goes. Why is she a... She's just a whirling dervish of devastation and destruction, is Shirley. I might grab her. Can we grab her? Because no one's seen her yet. Julie Thompson, when she gets to watch it, this is one of the kittens that Julie... If you ever saw any of my photographs from years back, I had 3 kittens in my arms, and this is one of them, and she is 2.5 now, and she's naughty is the best way to describe it, but she's gorgeous. But struggling to get her. There we go. Aberfield's Parkrun. That's Sarah Gardner. Only if Horton was possible, I could fall out my door and be there. Yeah, Horton. I mean, I don't think it's going to ever happen because of permissions. She's a little chonker now. Look at this. Look at this little chonker. Hi. Shirley or Bev. Look at this little chonk, hey? Doing all right. She's not actually scrambling very much. You happy? Little star. She says I'd like to go down now. Okay. There we go. Carry on your devastation. Yeah, Horton. I don't think that Epsom Council, or was it your borough or something along those lines, would ever give permission in that sense. They don't like having running events in Horton Country Park, but it could definitely host one, easily host a 5K, one napper around there. Claire Renarchik, I've done Winlatter, Great Rainbow after it. Do you get a rainbow every week there, Claire? Is that guaranteed? Michael Dodd, Dalston is my Nenid. Oh, good man. Yeah, not Nendy. You say Nenid. Good man, Michael. But with few public transport options, it'll have to wait until summer for me. Did want to go this summer, but rail strikes, very much looking forward to it. Yeah, it is at the end of that peninsula, that side of things. Briley Forest again. I don't know how I'm on here as a parkrun account, but it's Michael Woods. Thanks, Michael. I'd guessed that. I'd assumed that. Fascally Forest is the beautiful parkrun in Scotland. Karen Spackman. Great Saltons Parkrun has amazing graphics on their comms, and of course, University Parks. Yeah, Great Saltons is I've forgotten the chap's name, but he's a graphic designer. I'm so sorry I forgot his name, but yeah, he does a lot of spoofs of famous brand designs. University Parks Parkrun has tip-top social media. You are utterly biased there, Karen Spackman, as well as simply incredible volunteer request emails. How biased are you? The thought and effort that goes into them is unbelievable. Absolutely. That's why Amy Rose and I, or Amy Rose certainly relates in terms of having to try and be creative week in, week out, and engaging as well. The car park exit is now pedestrianised, and they could do a course. Council not supportive. Oh, is that for Skegness? Oh, so they could happen again. Pedestrian, right? Okay, that's a shame. Never say never. Yeah, maybe one day Skegness will come back. I'd like to go and do Skegness. I've only been there once. Stag do many years ago. Stuart Brownwood. Oh, is that for me or Shirley? Or Bev? Shirley, hello there, lovely. Everyone. Oh, look, Julie is watching. There we go. I knew you'd be happy to see her. She's got such a big snoot as Shirley. Her daddy must have had a big snoot. And Louise, what? She's beautiful. Dolly or Bev, Shirley or Bev. Other comments. Johan Duvenhaig. Michael, it is amazingly simple to mix up your it's amazingly simple to mix up your multiple personalities on Facebook. Yeah, I mean, that happens quite a lot when you're trying to get the right account to speak from. Julie Thompson just joined in time to see Shirley. Good timing. I was just lucky the week I went, says Claire, for the rainbow. Martin Owen, you can go and do one. It's not Nendy. That's an Australianism. Nenid was the original. Elliot came up with Nenid originally, and Australians turned it round. So whilst both work, I always like to go with the OG, and that's Elliot's of Nenid, not Nendy. Great Sultans is Kevin Budd. No, Kevin Budd is the event director, Mark, the person who does the graphics. And I'm not going to sit here and tap through the names. I forget his name. He was there when we were there. And but yeah, no, Kevin Budd is the ED, but the person who does the graphics is not. I'm sure somebody will let us know. Claire in Arctic, I'm trying to get volunteers for Denton Dean this week. It's not going well. Claire, again, have a look at Delston, or was it Fascally Forest was one of them, or Great Lines. Go and have a look at what they do social media wise and see if you can imitate, lift, be inspired by. Do Dolly and Shirley get on well together, says Emma. Who is the boss, Dolly or Bev? Dolly is a matriarch, and Shirley has learnt to preempt and give her a smack. Arthur and Dolly really get on and tolerate. Come here. Speaking about you, while you're scratching on the board, say hello to everybody. This is the cat. Look, I put her face there. Cat's eye. Oh, it's too bright for your eyes. Sorry. Yeah, Shirley's got big. So obviously she was around when she was little. So Dolly was dominant, but now Shirley's getting sizable. Then she is evening up. The scales are weighing in favor of Shirley a bit more on occasion. But eventually this old girl, because she's what, 11, 12 now, I think. Yeah, I think she'll soften a bit more as she gets older. She's done it with Arthur. She's got really, really soft with Arthur. Say hello to everybody, Bubba. Kiss. It's all the brightness in your eyes. I get it. Right. Right, where are we? Behind on the comments. Sorry. Ali Shepherd, you're right. Roberts Parkrun and Trentham Gardens Parkrun, both a fantastic engagement on the social media. A few months ago, they had a meme off, which was just brilliant. What they're just doing, like silly memes, and seeing which could do the best one for Parkrun. I'll have to have a look at that. Michael Woods. Hello, Michael Woods, who's on YouTube and not Briley Forest on Facebook anymore. Steve Dye, who's telling me, do you know what? The biggest trigger of anything for engagement on the pod is always pronunciation. Crikey. I mean, you could come up with 1,001 opinions, but what you prefer, subjective. So subjective things over foodstuffs or something can get engaged. But if you dare to pronounce something incorrectly, crikey. If you want to create engagement, just do it deliberately and mispronounce deliberately. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Steadfod. Thank you. Nicola Wright. Australia's getting its second Z. Lots of travel planning underway. Great, more alphabets. Let's carry on. Come on, X. Come on, X. I know you're not going to come, but please come on, X, and just reset everybody down to one alphabet, please, please. It's not going to happen, though. Mark Rockerhurst explains why not longer the REA. Great Sultans. No worries, Mark. No worries. But you are right, and you are, of course, knowledgeable as to the ED. Lovely Dolly, says people. She's beautiful, says Sue Vanderlinden. She is. And Chris Davis, lovely Dolly. Agree with Trentham Gardens. Superb social media and are really supportive of other events. The meme off was excellent. I'm going to have a look at that, Mark Sutherland. I want to have a look at Trentham Gardens. I'm going to follow them. And did Dolly Marshall for you again on your run tonight? She didn't. She was snoozing on the sofa on the cushion. Basically, I just did a few runs around near the house tonight. We've managed to find like a little course which is quite handy for speed work. Our usual speed work stuff has been cut off through traffic stuff. Anyway, I asked in the patrons group earlier, anybody want to talk about any topics? And I was given a few. One of them was just talk about how brilliant Nicola was, and Cheryl Booker was brown nosing and saying, oh, that would take it for a week, it would take forever. So I'm not going to do that one. But other one was from Alex Latham, and I was interested in terms of the question because I'm not sure as to how many people don't know, but then again I see the reactions to it and maybe they don't. But he said, you mentioned the roles in the pod most weeks about event director, run director and ambassadors and what they do, but some listeners may not know the difference between them or what's involved. Now I would hazard and suggest that most people watching do know what a run director, event director and ambassador does. I'd like to think they've been listening to the pod for a long time, then it's definitely been covered, excuse me, in terms of the functionality and the job spec, as it were. But I'm not going to go through individually bit by bit and preach to the converted, because the stuff's out there, information's out there. You can find it online at the Volunteer Hub. You can find the descriptions there. You can see videos on the Parkrun YouTube channel that describes things. Australia's been doing a lot of video stuff recently. So they've tried to engage and do videos there to detail what certain roles do, not everything. I don't think they really cover ambassadors, event directors, but it's more the other tasks. But what I'm going to try, and this is inspired by Pirate Software, which is a streamer that I like watching. He's a very, very smart guy. Used to work for a company called Blizzard that does World of Warcraft, and he's a fantastic programmer, and he's suddenly become very popular. He's one of these accounts that suddenly YouTube puts you on the front page and boom, off you go, and you just resonate. And he's in that stage at the moment. So I'm watching a lot of his stuff, but he uses Microsoft Paint to describe things. And so I'm going to do similar here, but with Photoshop, because I know Photoshop best. And so those who don't know, and you can point out anything to me here, is the way I see it in terms of functionality and roles is, let's just, I don't want it to be a soft brush. I want it to be a harsher brush. That's it. And let's shrink it. So when you think of the parkrun hierarchy, you have to think of it as a triangle, top to bottom, just like any other company or business. So let me just double check that you can see what I'm doing right now. Let me make sure. Yeah, you can. So at the top, you have HQ, right? Let's see if this works. There you go. At the top, this is all the staff. These are the salaried paid staff people. Now, to function, you have to have the connection between HQ and the participants, right? Even the volunteers down here. So think of it in terms of, if you had a company head office, you then have regional managers, which is ambassadors, or ambos, as we like to call them, ambassadors. And then, but you have the regional ones, because of course, originally it used to be ambassadors all spread out and across the country, but now you have regional ones, because then you've had to add an additional tier of regional ambassadors. So the country chunked into regions, then that spreads down into ambassadors. Now, what do? Regional ambassadors look after a selection of ambassadors. Basically, they're the go-between between the ambassadors and HQ, as it were. Not just that you can communicate around it, but the hierarchy again is this way. Just imagine I'm doing the arrows this way as well. Ambassadors get assigned, was it 6 to 7 events roughly at the moment, Bev? Yes, no?
5 to 6.
5 to 6. Okay, so it's around 5 to 6. It depends. Some people might have a bit more. It depends on availability. Then ambassadors will be the ones that connect to your EDs. So regional ambassadors are like regional managers for a company, and then ambassadors, again, another, I guess, look like a regional store manager, sort of, I guess. Event directors are store managers themselves, if I'm using the shop analogy. So they look after the whole running of the store. Imagine the store to be the parkrun week to week. And of course, we also have co-EDs. So the reason why you have co-EDs, and that's favored, is that because people are volunteers, they don't need to assign all their spare time. So to have 2 people working together reduces the workload on just 1 person. So that would be assigning, or just dealing with all manner of different things, like the actual volunteer team or any issues locally. It can be all sorts. And then you move down into the run directors, which are, it's like the shift managers, as it were, on the Saturday. And then there comes down to the volunteers, which of course then equalizes to the participants. So I think that's P for parkrun and participants, right? So I think that's a fair reflection in terms of the hierarchy and what they do. When the question is asked, what does an event director do? Like I say, they can be very broad range, but they're dealing primarily with the managing of the event outside of the Saturday morning, and run directors are the authority on the morning itself. Anyway, right. Does that all make sense? Is that okay? Does that seem okay? Does that answer some of your questions? Hopefully it does. Roberts Parkrun, let me just read through some of your comments. We cannot confirm or deny this Trentham Gardens Parkrun. Is that in terms of how nice they are? Anthony O'Brien, love and leave you after work now. Bye, everyone. Yep. Okay. Cheers, Anthony. Go and enjoy your shift. I don't actually know what you do work-wise. Obviously, don't tell me publicly, but yeah, have a good shift, and hopefully it goes by quickly. Javier Sanchez, I made it. Sorry, I'm late. I think Javier is meant to be ignoring and leaving his friends. In terms of he's snuck off to come and watch this. Emma Shaw, also for Curry D's, if one steps down, still have an ED left for easy continuity. Yep, of course. The red bus scenario, absolutely. Always have your event done so in case of a red bus scenario. If you're not around, can the event function without you? And Harry Short, don't worry, just run quickly and catch up with the Tower Walker. What's that? What's that to do with? Sorry, I've lost track of that comment-wise.
Really late.
Oh, very good. Oh, of course, replying. I do wish StreamYard did connect and show who our people are replying to. It just doesn't do it. I thought they would have done this by now. Anyway, Steve, I always use an orchestra analogy. So there's a variety of analogies you can use. The volunteers and the musicians generally know what they're doing. I guess I'm going to jump ahead and before I read it and say, well, the audience are the runners. So run director is the conductor and guides the musicians on the day, and the ED owns the company and deals with the building owner and council, etc. Which I guess the building owner would therefore be HQ. Where would you have your regional ambassadors? Where would you have your ambassadors and regional ambassadors in that? Where's the hierarchy after that? So it certainly works on the morning, but I do think the blueprint for HQ through down to the volunteers now is akin to any large company. Basically, your staff are volunteers with obviously a few staff at the top. I just think the difference is, yeah, it's like people are employed for a for what is it, 90% of the people that are involved in the organization. But yeah, good analogy. Anyway, right. Is that all okay? Hopefully it answers your question. Any other questions as to what RDs, EDs do? Like I say, it really is quite simple, but the information can be found out there on, especially the Volunteer Hub and especially on YouTube. Like I say, the videos there as well. Right. What was the other question that I got asked? If you want me to talk about any other topic as well before I leave this evening, I'll try and aim for about an hour. So if you want to hang around or not, do let me know. The next question was, oh, here we go. Yeah, Ruth Perkins, wasn't it? Ruth Perkins asked about, it was a run report thing or event report, whatever you want to call them now. Ruth got into writing parkrun reports, but has dyslexia and more used to the spoken word than the written word. I love a discussion around making the best of a parkrun report. Your media background, Danny, as well as parkrun history, adds a lot to the discourse. I want to improve. Any tips welcome. I know the reports aren't essential. So this ultimately comes down to creative media, understanding of trying to appeal to an audience. And I've always used the analogy about, imagine people sat around you having a coffee, and you have to regale them with a towel, and the people from all walks of life, and you need to make sure that they are just kept in the palm of your hands. So run reports are the same. Try and imagine a broad audience. So you're going to have your regulars, locals, contextualize anything which is a little bit parochial or niche, and then at the same point try and be as broad appealing to as many people as possible. Always be conscious of the audience that you are speaking to. Most people that see run reports, though, are fundamentally ones that will be your event passionate. So they will follow the Facebook. So when you post up the fact your run report is up there, they might check it themselves. Then they'll see that. Most fair weather park runners won't be super engaged, but you do read run reports that are very localized, very referential to particular people's names. Make sure you don't write in the first person like I, because most people reading it won't know who I is. Make sure that you're speaking from a tone of voice and a position where everybody can feel like they're being spoken to, not left out and excluded. Ruth KP, sorry, I'm so late. Don't worry. Catch up with the Tower Walker. Hey, Nick, that one. And then Steve Nickel, why do HQ not have their own podcast together? Sorry, I'll come back to the run reports thing. Sorry, Steve. Genuinely, you may not know. I don't know how new you are to parkrun. Why do HQ not have their own podcast to get their message out instead of always seemingly leaving it to you? Well, they certainly come to me when it comes to really particularly sticky topics and get annoyed when I bother to touch upon topics that are sticky that they've created. Anyway, I just realized my mouth looks a bit red. I think I've got some tomato sauce on my face. Luckily, the resolution isn't super high. Anyway, they did have 3 weekly times. So I did do the official one, September 2011 until February, March 2015. That was a parkrun show. Then a gap. Then I was contacted, spoken to by Nick Pearson, and then had to go and speak to his head of comms, which was Russ Jeffries at the time, about talking about doing the official one. Had a chat with him in Twickenham, Mr. Russ. Maybe necessarily didn't quite see eye to eye, and then found out they were going to run with Vassos and I've forgotten Louise Ayling, bless her. And so then Free Weekly Time came out, and to be honest with you, I think it became a lot more hassle than what it was providing. That Vassos was missing the mark on many occasions. It's part of the reason why, when there was the pandemic and we went live to discuss the first return, when we had 2,500 people concurrently watching at one point, it was a very thorny subject matter. They asked me to do it because just in case Vassos said something they didn't quite get, because of course the terminology that was used, understanding about events, how they function, because of course he could take or leave parkrun, whereas I like to try and learn as much as I can about every single aspect, and always have done since I've been involved, and I go every week and try to be involved, just to have a general understanding, total understanding and obsession, as it were, with parkrun and how it functions. Whereas he was more a professional presenter, but he clearly didn't have the same level of degree of passion. So leaving it to me to get the messages out there. To be honest with you, I'd love to work with, but like I say, I had a discussion with Russ originally. I am not favored, because when they do things a bit wonky and awry, I'm the one calling them out and saying, Emperor's got no clothes, and they do not like that. Aston Hall is a prime example of that. But what was the best terminology? Who said it? The best terminology? It was Borsal Arboretum, Chris Tucker. Sorry, Chris. So many names going through my head. He said, I am a critical friend. And I think that's perfect, because you can end up having everybody surround you, your acolytes and yes men, who won't say anything when you might be doing something slightly wrong. It doesn't benefit you. It's not great to be like that. Whereas if somebody is just going to take you aside and give you a bit of advice, but you have their ear, then you should appreciate that. And I think there's a bit of a overriding culture at the moment. They don't want that to happen. They don't want to be challenged. So you can see that with the sponsorship side of things, like the dog harness or the drones, the rules that we're given. And when they don't do it, people call them out and they get really angry with you if you do that. They ignore it, move on. It's not a big issue. But they like to make big issues of things when it goes the other way. So it's a shame. It's a shame. But I prefer to be able to say things freely, almost, because that's the thing. Free Weekly Time. So when I spoke to Nick originally said that he wanted me as a person who'd been around a long time, with a voice, an understanding, that I would be able to have gravitas and say things and call things out, and also give them a right to reply if they wanted to do so, which I have tried to do that. I've tried to do that with the magazine. We had the podcast devoted to when the magazine came out, specifically when I was unsure as to the value of that. I'm unsure. They spent a lot of money on it, and numbers are still no high proportionately than before. So when you raise concerns, and I certainly wouldn't have been able to do that under an official pod. They would have gone. I would have been told off, nipped in the bud. We spoke about it recently, where Nicola spoke about her time at Surrey, where she was a pregnant lady lost in the woods, pre-tower walkers, and we got reprimanded for what didn't. Nicola just basically said how it was, and I wouldn't like to be under that censorship again. So there you go, Steve. I mean, yeah, you can't have it both ways, really. So yes, run reports. Sorry. Emma Shaw loves to write a run report. I like to pick out and mention the regular volunteers and park runners. The feedback I get from people is that they enjoy name spotting the people they know. I add photos to the locals to go with my stories. Yeah, photos is great. WordPress can be fiddly. WordPress user interface, if you're not super tech savvy, can be a bit complicated. Its formatting can get thrown out quite a bit. It is quite handy the way you can preview certain things and run reports. I do a template. Can I find you my template? If you give me 1 second. So I'll show you my Lovelace park run, Lovelace Juniors, I should say. my news template. So I used it. I created one for Surbiton. I realized that writing things from scratch is just a waste of time. No other form of media does that. You always should have like a storyboard to go from. If you think that you're going to, of course, you're going to have tourists come in and do different things, but if you're going to have consistency, if you're going to have people locally do it, you want a template to go from. You want to have a springboard. So I created a template, which I then believe got borrowed or still is used by Leatherhead. Who else used it? Laleham, when Emma Poole was there. And so it touches upon all the main points, has some photographs in, and everybody can then copy that, and it just saves so much time, but it still encapsulates the majority of the morning. So I'll show you that in just a second. So yeah, Emma Shaw, the photographs, but yeah, so photographs are quite handy, but like I say, trying to upload them and insert them and formatting the text and everything can be a bit fiddly. Let me show you my Lovelace Juniors run report, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. This can be applied to anything. This can be done 5K and adapted quite happily, merrily. Please feel free to nick this, use it, absolutely nick it, go in and copy and paste it, and then port it over. But share the screen with you. If I finally get the right tab, here we go. Let's bring this up for you. Sorry, just having to try and get there. Right, so hopefully you can see that. Can I move myself out of the way? I'll just leave it like that for the moment. Right, so Lovelace Primary Junior School parkrun number 1. So always have the name of the, well, basically the name of the event, and then the number it is, and then the date, and have that format. We have liftoff, always have a subheading, then a little bit of, what was it, 1, 2, 3, 4, always break it into paragraphs. One of the hardest things for people I find to read is when you have just chunks, flow of text, paragraphs, put paragraphs, have little steps and stages. Don't just throw in paragraphs for the sake of it, but put it in little patches, have little tie-in elements. And so make a point, short and sharp, move on to the next bit, short and sharp, on to the next bit, make little paragraphs. Don't feel compelled that you have to cover everything, because you're going to run out of things very quickly in terms of novelty if you're going to run reports week in, week out. So a general overview, this was thanking people. So make sure you touch upon the important people. This was the inaugural, so thanking the stakeholders and financiers and people that were there. Chuck in a happy, jolly photograph of people if you can. Always try to name them, give them names underneath. So if you're going to have regulars, they can start to associate who the people are. And then this is the template thing, weather. Brits love weather. Always wise talk about the weather. We do it every single week. We have done when it was too wet last weekend, and then you had it was icy the week before. Course conditions. So again, if people are reading a run report who are tourists, they can find out what the course might be like. They can give them heads up as to what they might want to bring footwear wise. Tourists, always give shout out to tourists. It's lovely to know if tourists have come from further afield. And then participants, the amount, volunteer amount. If this is for juniors as well. I know this is junior specific, so you can tweak and differentiate and adapt and do whatever you want in terms of a 5K element, but you got how many PBs there were, first timers. All this data is easily available via the wiki page, or you can just find it on the results page. Adults and finished funnel, obviously that's specific to juniors. Finished position tokens lost, so there's always that enforcement in terms of getting tokens back. And then milestone wristbands, of course, this is where you could talk about your wristbands, and then sign off and then do a little picture. And if I just scroll up as we go through, it would help if I went back to the news page. Then you can see we've had 4 events and a slight adaptation, but fundamentally the same. And that's it. Really short, sharp and sweet. It's not onerous. I know that some people like to spend a lot of time doing it. I would spend hours and hours and hours on a Sunday writing my run reports. Again, many people know that it led me to do the parkrun show, but I wrote that in a specific way, in a specific fashion. I probably I invested too much time into doing them, but I enjoyed doing it. Like I say, it kind of led me down a different path, but there you go. If you aren't going to do it every week, but you want to try and sort of delegate it out to other volunteers, if you don't make it too onerous by having a template to work from, it's really, really easy to do. And like I say, it's easy just to copy the format into WordPress and go from there. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps somewhat. And I'm going to read some of your comments to see if you've got any other tips and pieces in there. And also, yeah, Parkrun Show, I spoke to Nikki Clark once upon a time. If you can go and find that episode, actually, I think somebody mentioned when we did it, was it Matt Miller said that it was episode 120 or something, but I did a little period in the Parkrun Show where we spoke about the volunteer roles each week. We covered it over bit by bit. We had Rory Marriott was doing timing and so on. Yeah, so there you go. Stuart Brownwood. I write run reports when I go on tour. I always just describe the course from a newcomer's point of view, and they say lots of nice things about the event and volunteers. Martin Morgan, my favorite volunteer role is run reporter after park running and then barcode scanning. I always try and submit it on the day of the park run on Sunday morning at the latest. Vassos is a nice guy, I really like him, but he's just not a park runner. And it showed that this is referring back to the old Free Weekly Times. Yeah, I mean, it's not an ad hominem attack on Vassos in terms of people saying that. It's just that if you're going to be the voice or face of parkrun and you don't really care about parkrun in terms of like, he just didn't bother to take his barcode. There was the usual the cognitive dissonance, like the time when he got added in and mentioned that he got added in after forgetting his barcode before they were doing all the digital ones were being accepted, that all of a sudden it was flipped and reversed on people getting really angry. Shouldn't get really angry. No, but dear Tom Williams, you and your staff would also enforce it with certain event teams about making sure you stick to a particular rule. You create a rule, and when somebody's the face of you then doesn't do that rule, you turn it on the people who have got cross about it. They weren't cross about necessarily about the rule being broken. It's about the inconsistency of you deciding what rules you determined should be followed by your volunteers, and then when it's something that you've done is a hypocrisy. That's why people get angry or got angry. But then again, it's like, oh no, you mustn't get angry about this sort of thing. Completely managing to manipulate and almost, I'll be honest, with gaslight a little bit regarding that scenario. And yeah, it was that's not for me you're writing down, is it? No. Sometimes Bev writes notes and goes, right, read this. But yeah, with Vassos, he did that with the barcode. He didn't quite understand. He didn't get challenged. He wouldn't get challenged on certain things. The beauty of Nicola is that she challenges me on things, even when she reads the scripts, and she'll challenge me on things. And so you've got to have that dynamic there as well. You mustn't just be passive and let like your star power or your face of your media just go unchallenged and say whatever, and then cause these issues and then blame the people going, actually, hang on a second, you're telling us to enforce a no barcode rule, and when an event didn't do that, they favored him. It's now our fault for pointing that out, which is, again, is a consistent theme from parkrun of do as I say, not say as I do. Look, we all have elements of that in our lives. I'm sure myself, and we can all imagine the scenarios when we say one thing and then do another. I totally get that, but this was this particular issue here. But yeah, obviously he's a very good presenter. Everybody I've ever read about meeting him has always said he's a really nice guy. He just didn't necessarily fit that mold for Free Weekly Times and Parkrun. Nothing against him as a person. Karen Spackman. I cannot imagine using AI for a report. Or someone done that. I wouldn't bother doing AI. It doesn't give human nuance. If you have the information available to you, I always highlight volunteers. They seem to engage with the comms, and if they engage, I appreciate it. They tend to return. PBs, first timers, etc. are important to mention too. Dolly's just coming in and out of the door. Is that right? I was at Shirley. Shirley's doing the door opening. She's very clever, knows how to open and close the door. Yeah, definitely don't use AI. Totally agree. So, Paul, okay, he's posted that twice. Sorry. Karen Spackman. Again, a critical friend is always the term referred to as a governor of a school. There are lots of similarities between parkrun and schools. That's a good point, actually. Very good point. Sue van der Linden, I do the same. She does something the same. I've lost track as to what. Emma Shaw, WordPress. Yes, not easy. When I first started using it would take me well over an hour to upload somebody's report, but after a couple of years, could get it done within 10 minutes. There you go. So just need to spend a couple of years getting used to WordPress and you'll get faster at doing it, guys. Pete Herdman. Hi, Danny. Up the Villa. Yep. Yeah. Something about Villa, Aston Villa, and the Aston area, isn't it, at the moment? It's not favouring me. That did get pointed out to me the other day. Yeah, Aston Villa beat Arsenal 1-0, and Aston Hall is obviously, well, it's a different matter entirely, just in terms of it really made me sad to have to be honest about what was going on at Aston Hall. I didn't enjoy that. but necessary. Again, critical friend. Thank you, Stuart. Emma Shaw, here's a typical report of mine. So there you go. Click on the link if you want to read Emma Shaw. Emma's desperate for people to look at her reports. Please go and do that. Claire Griffiths, adults in the finish funnel, love it. Yeah, it's a thing. And what I do and what I love to do is when you're doing, if you've got the confidence as well as a public speaker like myself, that when you're doing the overall run brief, that kids love to engage with you, because you'll always have that. Many people, if you've ever been a run director at a junior event, you're going to have the parents kind of floating around the background, but all the kids, if you stand on something like some steps or a bench, they will come in front of you and stand there like an audience, like a small audience, right? Do you know when you go and watch Panto, what's the thing where they do with the puppets? Punch and Judy shows. All the kids, that's the one, right? Bunch of Punch and Judy stuff. You watch your kids go, they go really close to where the puppets are, and you have that at juniors, and they love to engage. So if you're just going to talk over them, above them, aim at the adults, yeah, there are certain things that adults need to hear and see and understand. It's not the kids that cause the problem. It's always the adults. So in terms of the finish funnel stuff, my thing is, right, I did it at the inaugural event, and I used to try and engage kids all the time. I would echo, get them to chant things back. But my latest thing is, look, kids, adults always tell you that you're doing something wrong, right? Here's your opportunity to then tell them not to do something, and then just look at your parent, your guardian, your adult, and say, right, you mustn't go in the finish funnel. And they love that. They love that little thing. It's simple, but it's impressing a rule in the most light-hearted way possible. The kids love to engage, and hopefully that sticks in the mind. I think it works. And the same thing with the tokens. What do you do with the tokens? Give it back. And it works. And we very, very rarely lost tokens at Surbiton Juniors. Very rarely. And we were one of the biggest, we were one of the biggest events. So I was quite proud of that. Just little subtle things, little subtle touches. May work for you, may not. Hi, Wendy Eel, says Ruth KP. And Wendy Eels is waving back at Ruth KP, having a little chat. Ruth, I will see you at Lovelace Juniors, Lovelace on the 31st. I've been put down as run director. Apparently, I looked at the roster the other day. Apparently, I'm run director on the 31st of December. Thank you, Bev. So, yeah, I'll see you there. I believe you're volunteering. Emma Shaw, nice work, Danny. Junior reports are not so commonplace. That was a great example. Like I say, please feel free to nick it, copy it, borrow it for 5Ks if you want. Also, what Ruth was saying earlier about in terms of it, run reports, written word and being read. Yeah, that's a big thing too in terms of legibility, but also being able to read these things. You're not going to have it be able to be done in WordPress, but there are alternative measures. So of course you have the Parkrun magazine is now an audio version, and do you know what? Actually, it's not too difficult to write a run report, record some audio on your phone, record some audio on your phone. But there you go. There you go. Look, yes, I do have a dolly as my screensaver. Of course I do. Yeah, what was I saying? I've lost train of thought now. What was I saying? Oh, in terms of being able to record audio. So I use my phone for recording audio. They're really good. You can get free apps, maybe potentially read your run report and save it, upload it. I know Google Drive does that. So you could potentially do your written version or then an audio version and put that link in if people want to click it, and it will play through there. There are alternative measures. I mean, the power and beauty of modern media and devices that you can do so much that you weren't able to do so in the past. So maybe that's something to consider. Even videos, you can even do videos. I mean, YouTube is easy to do, and that you could record something there. You can record yourself speaking into a microphone, for example, and upload it into the cloud. Karen's background again. Is there a way of knowing how many people read your reports on the Facebook post and your event page? No, I don't think there is. There used to be a general gauge that you could like in the run report. Like there's a Facebook counter. That was a general gauge. The data is not available to us to see how many people clicked on it or linked through. The only way of gauging it in some form is on Facebook when you share it, if anybody likes and responds in that fashion. But the data and the metrics are not freely available in that sense. yeah, you have to consider, I wonder if I spend too much time on reports, if only a few people read them, I'm a bit of a techno twerp. Yeah, you don't want to spend hours and hours on something if you're only having 10 or 20 people read them. Again, that's why I did a template. If it's going to take you 10 minutes to use a template, if you're going to have 10 people read it, I think that's even. That's even. It's not trying to do like a short job. It's about investing a lot of your time into something that isn't going to get seen. There's no point otherwise. Sue van der Linden, I did barcode scanning for the first time a couple of weeks ago and really enjoyed it. And Danny, you were right, of course, that the QR codes are great and quick and easy to scan. They are. I mean, I'm sure Ian Rutson and others will be saying like QR codes are brilliant, and they knew about that a long time, but trying to get the rest of the populace alongside takes a bit of time and encouragement. And Nicola Forward has learned to put it on her phone, on her Garmin GPS screen. You can get it on other things too. John Bigg, the person who made the Parkrun barcode app, I think has done some updates and said that you can tap on your screen and push up and everything. But the QR code, in terms of speed of getting it, scanning it, the 5K app, Michael Clayton's 5K app, also gives it in QR form as well. It just reads so much better. I mean, I always wear my Garmin and I always wear my Parkrun wristband on the day. So I have both. But I do favor the QR code for speed, but it's not to say that I don't want to. What is she doing with the door?
It's Dolly.
Oh, Dolly's going in and out now. Disturbing. Okay, fine. But yeah, QR codes, love them. So yeah, do use them if you can, simply from a speed efficiency point of view. Hello, Dolly. Yeah, Matt. Oh, you're wet. You're wet. A bit cold. It's a bit rainy outside. Ruth KP stealing the term techno twerp. Stuart Brownwood. The app is a dream when scanning QR codes, isn't it? Yes, it is. Johan Duvenhaig, Karen, I would venture that much less people are reading them than would wish, but that doesn't negate the effort because it creates an additional historical record that the results pages will never be able to provide. Yep, absolutely. This is very true. Very, very true. A human touch away from data. Absolutely agree. Alex Latham, finally made it, been on my driving lesson, so sorry I'm late. Well, I answered your question earlier, Alex. You've missed the answer to your question that you posed earlier, but if you want to go and replay it at some point, the information's there. Emma Short, I'm genuinely too shy to do a junior warm-up, but would love to do it. I'm physically incapable of doing a junior warm-up. I can roll my ankles and everything, but doing the touch the sky, jumpy jumpersons, no, I think I'm beyond that now. Maybe 15 years ago, but not now. Never say never, though. Louise Watts, hello, Louise. I was a timekeeper at Junior Parkrun last week and definitely used my teacher voice a few times due to adults trying to go in the finish funnel with their children. I used to be the funnel ogre at Bushy. And you are so right about the kids being fine, but the adults not listening. Yeah, it's always 99.9%, say always 99.9%. The problem at Junior Parkrun is very, very rarely the juniors, because they know how the system works. They know what they're meant to do. They're very relaxed about certain things. It's just the adults. Yeah, it's hell is other people, but not kids. So yeah, teacher voice, the funnel logo at Bushy used to get, it was big. It got really big at one point. And obviously there's more junior parkruns that come around. It only happens once a month. It doesn't happen in October because of the rutting season. So about 11 times a year. People have fallen out from that regularity, and they've discovered that ones certainly my way, like Moormead and Twickenham Way, you get other regular parkruns around the area. So they go there instead. But they were having 300, 400. Now, Peregrine and Tarquin and all that lot were running. It's a 1K out and back. And so the parents would focus on them and them only. And it would be a thin strip. If you've ever been to Bushy, Chestnut Avenue within the trees, and they would all stand there waiting for the kids to come to finish. But of course, they would slowly edge forward to see when their kid is coming. As they did this, they would enclose and encroach and shrink the funnel gap. So the kids are running down and watching these adults slowly shrink into here. And it caused chaos. It caused chaos. So they had to put someone in there to kind of holler at them to get out of the way. Lo and behold, old Gobbo here was used there quite regularly to do that. You have to be cruel to be kind and just continually holler to get people to get out of the way, because kids were unsure as to where to go, where to finish. And it was blocking things. It was blocking sight. It's blocking the line of sight for the timekeepers as well. So, yeah, you have to manage the adults most of all at a junior event. Adults are the worst. Kids are generally great, says Claire Griffiths. Amen. Ruth Keepy says, hurrah. Might steal that give it back at Reigate Juniors on Sunday. Yes, please, Wendy. Yeah, of course, Reigate Juniors. Of course, Bev is your ambassador. Do. Use it, nick it. Anything that I say here that you think might come in handy, nab it and copy it. Keep it as your own. I do not mind whatsoever. Stuart Brownwood, I am run directing at Prince's on Saturday. Always a bit nerve-wracking. Good luck. Maybe you want to try that at Prince's as well. Do the whole give it back. See if the crowd are listening. And also, yeah, shushing people, having to shush people at Kingston on Saturday. I wish some people actually gave the courtesy. If a volunteer is choosing to help you put on the event and they have something to say, give them the courtesy of listening. I've been there. I've been to more 5K park runs than every other human being on the planet by one person, and I listen still. So I'd like to think that everybody else would do that too. I'll take that off. Karen swearing. Paul Allcoat, couldn't believe your TED Talk, Ari Aston Hall, after all the hoops you went through. Yeah, that was my point. 5 years ago, as a co-ED, no core team, no park run, they were told. Madness, a great TED Talk, though. Yeah, that's what I think was the biggest issue. It wasn't the fact that Aston Hall exists. It was the fact that every other event team that had to jump through hoops and being told no until, and then that event happens. And then when people are pointing out to HQ going, once again, excuse me, you're telling us everything and then you haven't done something, we're annoyed about it. Rather than take accountability and say we're sorry, which they never do, they're just like, don't talk about it. How dare you say nothing? You're not allowed to talk about it. Don't post anything negative. Shh, didn't happen. So they're the worst. Sometimes they are absolutely the worst for it. And do you know what? A really good organization would come forward and put their hands up, communicate clearly and say, look, we made a mistake. We understand. We'll try our best. And we won't do that again. We've learned from our mistakes. They don't. They bury their head in the sand a lot of the time for it. That's one of the worst elements. And do you know what it's like? That's like a cult. So yeah, that's one thing I'm not happy or enamored with in terms of a parkrun element. Critical friend side of things. I think it's bad communication. Kay Cottrell, I love writing occasional reports, but feel I should only do it when I can add a new dimension not covered before. Otherwise, it's quite samey. Yeah, absolutely. Trying to come up with something new all the time, as I have done over. Well, how many podcasts have I done now? 270, 180, 374, coming up to, it'll be 450 eventually. That's 9 years worth of weekly podcasts, trying to come up with a theme every week. It can be very, very tiring. I know it's spaced out with a gap in between, but yeah, it's you can only do so much so soon. Sometimes you need to have a bit of a breather. People are still talking about different techno terms. Stuart Brown with that towel for Dolly's towel. George Brazil. Hello, George. I'll try and read out some names that I've not seen. So if you are watching and you're sneaking around in the background and you haven't commented, chuck a comment in. I don't mind what it is. George Brazil. If you can run director, you can warm up lead. Just make it up as you go along. This is true. It's very true. I don't have to follow the specific junior parkrun script. Yeah, but you don't want to see me try and jump up and down and bounce. I can run in a straight line, okay? Harry Short, Danny, next time you see Julie Thompson, get her to demo a junior warm-up. Hers was great on Sunday at Alston Junior Parkrun. I will do. I hopefully see Julie soon. Steve Dye, Bushy and Savile Juniors are the only 2 monthly junior events left. Yeah, no, your Forester Dean came over, didn't it? Both won't get permission to go monthly either. Both are 60-70% down on attendance post-COVID compared to weekly events. That's a good piece of data, good stat there, Steve. And that's because people have got more regular events to go to. That's why they've discovered that, yeah, you get your weekly ones. More weekly ones have appeared, satelliting those as well. A lot more have appeared all over locally. And that's why we're getting to that point now where those guys are having less attendees because, yeah, kids, a month is a long time for a kid. I mean, Christmas time, waiting to get to Christmas time is bad enough. So if you're excited about a park run, it's better to go weekly than it is go monthly. Anyway, right, what we got? A few minutes left and then we'll go. Strava. So what was I going to do with Strava? I was reminded about Strava, talking about flexibility and distance and stuff. Anybody on Strava that wants to have a look at my Strava? I just thought I might show you my Strava this year, purely from how I was doing or have been doing post 2020, 21 and so on. Obviously my fitness had gone down and now it's gone back up again. I just thought you might be interested in seeing about how I got there. I briefly touched upon it. Lee Hopkins, how are these live chat jobs taking place? Missed the start of this one, doing another great job. How often are these live chat jobs? So the Wednesday and Sunday, ideally. I think Wednesday and Sunday I can certainly fit in. Friday last week was a bit random. Doing 3 a week might be a bit too much, but as long as I have an audience for it, a consistent audience that I am definitely getting, as long as there's things to talk about, I don't want to run out of things to talk about in terms of parkrun stuff. Sometimes there are quiet weeks, and doing a live for the sake of it, then I'll keep doing them. But especially the main reason why I'm doing them is it's December time. It's dark, it's cold, it's wet. A lot of people are at home. People are a bit down. If anybody's feeling a bit lonely, it's obviously very different to summertime. That I'm just here to spend an hour or so with you having a chat about something we all love, and hopefully it occupies you and gives you something just to focus on. It just mixes it up from the stuff on TV or anything else like that. And also because there's an engagement level, the fact that is I can speak to you. I really want to hear from you. If you've got anything to say, put it in the comments and I can speak directly to you, albeit by proxy. So, Pepper White, there we go. I run reports for a Saturday. Any other job on a Sunday? I try to balance tourism, comment, and local info. Can we follow you on Strava, Danny? So, yes, yeah. So I will accept. I won't follow back purely from it would fill up my feed way too much. It's full enough as it is on Saturday. I had to have a cut off. It's part of the reason why I'm not on Facebook anymore. It became way too much and overwhelming. And did I need to see it all? Strava I absolutely love because it's a very positive space, because you're continually praising someone's achievements and you're continually giving them kudos. But yeah, I will accept if you want to follow. I won't follow back. And it is all my local stuff is locked out, so you won't be able to see where I am. So I'm very secure and safe in that respect. Yeah, I only tend to follow Tessington Unity people local to me now, but you can see where I run, because it's like I say, you can't see where I'm running locally, but you're going to be able to find out if I've gone to parkrun on Saturday. You could find it out on the results if you wanted to. So yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind if you want to follow me on there. I have a picture of a hamster, Roger the hamster, one of my hamsters a few years back. Good night, everyone. Take care. Oh, good night, Mum. You go to bed. See you later. Bye. The night. Or have you just jumped and thought that I might be going? Emma Shaw, you are chipping away at your parkrun times nicely. As you all know, progress is never linear. Looking strong at Tamworth Parkrun. Yeah. And I've had a very strong speed session last night and a good run today, and motivation and fuel and strength conditioning in a way, and weight loss especially. Kate Cottrell, we need you. Nothing on TV. Yeah, it just seems to be I'm a celebrity doing some ice skating and dancing in the ballroom and baking cakes, isn't it? That's the main things nowadays, isn't it? Basically baking cakes in a jungle in Australia while dancing around the ballroom. I know some people love it. I know Bev's a big fan of Strictly Come Dancing and everything else. I've come away from terrestrial TV. I don't watch it. I'm such a big YouTuber now. I completely stick to my interests. YouTube gives me all I need in terms of interest topics, so I can schedule the content I want to see rather than having a media company tell me what should be seen. Don't get me wrong, I will and absolutely appreciate things like Planet Earth. That can't be done on YouTube. Something like that is event TV in terms of it all. That is beautiful. That is something that cannot be replicated. That I will watch that, and obviously have Netflix and movies on occasion. But in terms of general consumption on a weekday, yeah, I think a lot of it is very vacuous. Certainly when you see things like Made in Chelsea and Only Way is Essex, and you guys aren't really into that. Anyway, Karen Spackman, please do not commit yourself to anything more than suits you. These are really easy to do as well. These are really easy to do, these lives. I come in, sit down, turn a couple of lights on, and I talk to you guys and just click a few buttons and respond to them. It's not arduous, as opposed to trying to compile something like the pod where I'm having to research and write and script everything. Very, very different. But I do appreciate it. I don't want it to become like a labor either. At the moment, I'm enjoying them. I love welcoming my parkrun family into my home. When you go live, you all help with keeping my connections to others, and that's one of the main reasons, big reasons why I'm doing it. I think there's a big echo between now and COVID times, certainly in terms of mood of the country, certainly in mood of what's coming out through certain inquiries. Emma Shaw, I don't pay for Netflix, Disney, but do subscribe for ad-free YouTube. That's all we watch apart from live sport. That's all you need, I think. I think people are underestimating enormously the potential for YouTube to grow. Even now, it has got a long way to go in terms of it all, because production elements are going to grow and grow and grow. And in terms of sustainability, and yeah, Google did well to buy that. They really did. I think YouTube will have a good shelf life for a long time to come just yet. And the fact that you can watch it on across many different devices, it's like lockdown all over again. So Nicky Jones, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. You do, Danny. Well, I don't do too much other than just talk. Thank you for listening. There'd be no point me nattering away if no one's here to watch it. So can I just show you my little Strava, and I will show you present, share screen, and my Strava profile. I just wanted to show, let's bring this up, this, and of course my face is in the way. That's brilliant. Let's try and do that then. You're right. What? Oh, my little this is what I'm showing, my little something, my little blue bar in terms of it all. So who would have thought, right? So where you can see the blue bar, what correlates is when you, so that was January and February was post hernia op. So this time last year, I was laid up in bed, unable to move because I had my umbilical hernia operation. January into February was not allowed to do any strenuous activity. So I was walking, and then started to do a little bit more, hit with ilt bugs in February and March. And then, right, weather gets better, and was constant every single week. If you notice, constant. There was one period of time, 50k weeks. When I was running really well, I was doing 70-mile weeks. I went up to 95, 100 miles years back. So I'm only doing half of that, but still consistent. It's all about consistency and training smarter, not harder, doing easy runs easy and hard runs hard, and all the way through. And then a bit of a blip and dip in terms of mood, sometimes mental health dips because of the weather. But who would have thought that consistent running and training would be able to bring you back into being fully fit again? So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up in terms of, I know we spoke about my fitness earlier, running well and everything, and it's just nice to see in data form. But I have looked in the previous years, and lo and behold, there's lots of big gaps in the past couple of years. And of course, I put on weight. And yeah, if it inspires you just to try and just do something rather than nothing, and I know it's hard to do it in the dark, I know it's hard to do in the cold, and this time of year especially. But yeah, if you can, you get results, and just keep on plugging away. Right, thank you for what you do, says Julie. That's it. That's a super progress graph. Thank you, Emma. And consistency is key for running progress. Absolutely right. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye now, because audience numbers are going a bit down. People don't really care about being coached. Fair enough. Right, an hour and 7 is long enough. Thank you very much for joining me once again. I will see you Sunday. Shall we say Sunday? Let's book in Sunday, and just let us know what you've been up to at the weekend. It's going to be a sunny, dry one, apparently, certainly down this end of the woods, neck of the woods, I should say. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me. Bye, Victoria O'Brien. Thank you for being there and watching in the background. Beth May as well. Nostar to you too. Take care, everyone. Yeah, have a wonderful rest of the evening. Bye.